Hi, everyone. I hope you are having a great week, and thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we're going to be focused on speaking about beauty trends in the creator commerce space. So we're going to go through some industry data, some industry reports we recently conducted, some LTK data, and really how creators can support your brand and growth of your brand and help you keep up with different trends in the space. So to kick things off, I'm Allie Anderson. Thanks so much for joining today. I'm currently the Director of Strategy and Insights at LTK on our brand partnerships team. And really my role is to help brands identify trends and different opportunities in the creator space. I've sat in the industry for a really long time now, so I've seen kind of everything and the creator industry evolve through the years, and can have had conversations with many of you on the phone today and many beauty brands throughout my career at LTK. So really just to kick it off, some of you on the phone, you've run campaigns with LTK, maybe hundreds of campaigns with LTK, and some of you might just be getting started working with us or working with Creator and really figuring out what your strategy looks like. So just as a reminder who we are and how we're different in the creator commerce space, LTK really powers creator commerce. And when I take a step back, that's a bold statement. So why should brands care about how we power creator commerce? So really starting with a few of our differentiators, LTK provides your brand with that technology. So we have a 5-star shopping app. Many of your brands actually see the majority of sales occurring within this app. These are sales that are completely incremental to your program. The LTK app essentially acts as a shop. It gives your brand content longevity. It's a place that consumers can really shop and consume that content in longer form. So while we're going to talk a lot about video content today, a lot of that content lives on stories that might disappear. So enabling it and pushing it to the LTK app is just an opportunity to kind of bring that full circle for shoppers. And all of this is first-party data. So everything from the content you see in our app to the creators on our platform. And we have some stats here on the page. I'm not going to read through all of these stats, but we have had no policy changes with any shifts that we see within the social space. It's something that we own. We're able to kind of recommend those creators. Nothing changes based on shifts that are really inevitable within social media and social content marketing today. And then, of course, we have 11 years of influencer-backed data. And this is really the premise of everything that we make decisions on. So from all the casting recommendations we provide to your brand, to the data that you're going to see post-campaign, it's all, think of that data piece as the bow. And we have 11 years of at the end of the day, product data that we can see on a really, really granular level. Additionally, another way that we help your brand really be impactful in the creator commerce space is we provide you with that consulting. So we have thousands and thousands and thousands of conversations with brands each month, really focused on what their goals are and how can we hit those. Each brand is different. Each brand is unique. The discussions you're having at your company are unique. And so we really have a process in place to help streamline those conversations and have those to help you be successful. We partner with brands of all sizes. We've recently this year launched LTK Connect, which enables brands really of all sizes to have direct partnerships with creators on our platform. And of course, we have our Optimize service, which is our managed service side of the business. And then just really bringing this home, we have this, we're a 3-sided marketplace. So we have this on the creator and the shopper side as well. So we have a whole team dedicated to serving creators. They're consulting them, they're recruiting them, they're getting them to use our technology. And those creators are organically linking to LTK already, which is just a huge benefit for your brand. So outside of that paid content. And then on the shopper side, we of course have our app. Excuse me, which is extremely sticky for consumers and enables them to shop. So all of this combined provides brands with a powerful ecosystem to be really successful in the creator marketing landscape. Excuse me. So I'm a really visual person. So I thought this visual did an excellent job of showing really how macro trends could position LTK and how they help you be successful, how LTK can help your brand be successful in the creator commerce space. So really, when you take a step back and you track kind of content consumption, we know consumers are buying products. We know they're buying them on their phones. We know they're shopping through social media. And you need to connect the creator to the product data. So that's really where LTK comes in. So on the left side of the page there, you see all the different social networks, all the different creators. Obviously, there's tons of different social networks, and there's hundreds of thousands of different creators. So how do you get them to link to your brand and your product? And how do you, more importantly, track that? That's really where we are. We sit in the middle of the creators. They're choosing what products and what brands to link to and on what social platforms. That's really where LTK comes in. Creator is truly data first marketing, and we understand the way consumers shop is to yield maximum results across the globe. And we do this through the power of Creator. So we've been having a webinar series throughout this year, and we've always woven in really since mid-year, really some component of the current economy. So I'm sure the topic of inflation comes up in conversations during your meetings. It's probably coming up more frequently with planning for next year and discussion of Q4 and holiday. And LTK knows creators can be impactful during this time. We've of course, put a little bit more of a marketing spin on it. So we've come up with LTK creators can help you be more in inflationary times with LTK. So believable, efficient, memorable, organic, relevant, and effective. We have so much data to support this. We've actually run studies just on the economy with national consumer studies to really gauge how consumer shopping habits maybe are pivoting. So if you need further data points to support this, feel free to reach out to us. But overall, we have some of these summarized throughout the presentation because we, of course, want to be mindful of the current environment. So on to the good stuff. Today's topic is beauty. How do creators support your brand in this vertical? What trends, what best practices? How can you partner with creators and LTK creators within this space? So we're going to be covering all of this. And really, as I read through and I thought about what content should we include, the data speaks so strongly for beauty in the creator space. Consumers are shopping beauty and personal care through creators the most. So when we look at all different categories across all different generations, really beauty was the consistency. So beauty and personal care were kind of consistently showing up the most and how consumers were wanting to shop through creator. So throughout this presentation, we're going to include a lot of data, and I'll try to have some moments where we pause and look at the content because of course, at the end of the day, this is creator marketing and the visuals are so impactful. But we ran 2 different studies this summer to really get a pulse of the industry and the pulse of the economy. I won't read all the points on this page, but we surveyed for each study over 1,000 participants with 97% confidence. And really the reason we did this was just to gauge what is the current landscape look like and mirror that with the data that we see on our platform to really come up with a full story and a full kind of data and insights package that we could deliver back to brands that didn't include just our first party data. The other thing I want to call out, all the imagery in this deck is content that we've pulled through the LTK app. There's beautiful, beautiful content. And I think, again, when you really think of why you're on this call today, you're on this call because creators create this insanely beautiful and authentic content that can have phenomenal results that impacts kind of your brand, not just in that last click, but kind of further through that full funnel for a longer period of time. So kicking things off here with some third-party industry data zoomed out completely. So where's the beauty industry going? I'm sure everyone on the call very likely knows this, but consumers are shopping beauty online more than ever before. There are absolutely macro trends at play here. So again, that shift to social shopping, consuming content on your mobile devices, leaning into shopping through creator. But eMarketer predicts that by 2026, the US cosmetic and beauty retail e-com sales will hit almost 31 billion in sales. So when we look at this graph, everyone wants to see kind of that bar graph that just keeps going up and up and up. And that's exactly what we're seeing here in the beauty industry. Everyone wants to see that consistent growth year over year. And that's really what the beauty industry is predicted to do with e-commerce sales. And so when I think of this from a brand lens, and of course, we're here today to talk about creator, we're talking about digital. And really what we want to hone in on is where are consumers spending time, where are they being influenced and driving that consideration, and ultimately everyone's end goal is selling the product. Where are they shopping that content? And so what does that strategy look like? So shifting gears again, and the next few slides are going to look at some data from LTK's National Consumer Studies. So again, these are studies that we conducted to over 1,000 consumers nationwide with 97% confidence. But one of the questions we asked them was about categories that they shopped through Creator. So when we asked them this question, beauty across every generation, so across the general population, and we've included Millennial and Gen Z because they're the ones shopping through Creator the most, but beauty and personal care ranked as number one. So that's wonderful news for every single person on the Zoom today, because essentially people are shopping beauty products through Creator at a higher velocity than other categories. And again, you're going to receive this deck in your inbox after the call. But when I think about how this data could be used at your brands, if you work at brand in this vertical, or you're an agency who represents brands in this vertical, I think about if you are in the process of planning budgets or making the case of why creator marketing is a good use of funds or growing funds, this slide really helps drive home how consumers are shopping creator. Of course, other categories that we think of, clothes, shoes, accessories, electronics, people are shopping creator really across vertical and across category, but beauty is ranked number one, which is really exciting. And we're going to touch on video in a little bit, but when I think about creator, the creators I follow, they speak to their favorite beauty recommendations, and they're not speaking about your brand or the product just once. They're speaking about it several times. They bought into your product, and more importantly, your brand, and they're wanting to share it out to their followers. So creators are essentially your sales team. They're authentic in that delivery with an audience that they've built over time who trust their recommendations and have purchased from them before. So tying in a little bit just with the economic impact here, we touched on it briefly at the beginning, just with our Be More messaging and strategy. We have so many data points of how creators can really support brands and support retailers during this time. But one of the things that we want to pay attention to is splurge categories. And we're still seeing beauty as that number one shopper splurge category. And the great news is that that's great for everyone on the call, but we've actually seen that this hasn't been impacted on our platform before in other times of economic downturns. And we see that both Gen Z and Millennial are also the least impacted by inflation, which is the primary group that is shopping creator. So all of this combined, again, wonderful news. The data points to promising signs for beauty, not just reported by eMarketer, but also by our national study that we ran. And then some more findings from that study. So we see creators impacting beauty purchases beyond just a click online. So nearly half of Gen Z report to shopping beauty in store because of creator recommendations. So the data you see here on this page is the percentage of people who shop beauty in store from creator recommendations. So maybe they follow someone online, they've seen them talk about that shampoo that they've been wanting to try, then they're shopping at, a retailer that they go to on a weekly basis, and they pick it up. And you see that shift from the general population to the younger generations. And it's just becoming the norm, right? The way you can target consumers and the way consumers are shopping is going to always be fragmented. But it's great to see that creators aren't just that last click like you can report on through digital. They're really touching all facets of your business. I'm confident that if you've partnered with LTK on campaigns in the beauty space, we're very much underreporting on the full sales value. We've done some tests with brands in the space of really just attributing creator back to in-store. And I predict this will absolutely continue to be a trend going into next year. So when we think through how creators can help your brand be more, this kind of checks off that efficiency bucket, right? Where we're already tracking that full funnel and through LTK's reporting tools, but then there's also that in-store component. So lots of data. Hopefully everyone is still with me here. It's so easy to get wrapped up in what consumer reports are showing, what we should predict for next year, the overall reporting, and what really we need to bring to this content to life is the content itself. Creators are so powerful in marketing. In fact, based on a recent consumer study, creators are 4 times more influential to consumers than celebrity posts, and they also rank above branded ads. So when I think of that why behind that statement, there's so many reasons in the marketing world, but for me personally, creators are a powerful opt-in tactic. Consumers have essentially selected to follow their life. They're likely following that creator because they're in a similar life stage or have similar interests, thus making creator recommendations really the most impactful and the most helpful and authentic for consumers. So again, just beautiful content. If you haven't been to the LTK app, I'd encourage you to go to the app, search your brand, search the different types of beauty content that live there. There's so much and such strong content produced across our platform. So right on back into the data, you guys. So we've set the stage with really what I'm saying, third-party and consumer data. So the rest of the presentation, we're going to shift gears to some LTK data. First, LTK creators are really leaning into shopper behaviors in this space. And I think that's such a big benefit and a big differentiator of our platform is because we have this entire team, an entire sector of our business who they're really focusing on guiding creators. They're looking at the data. They're looking at that shopper and consumer behavior, both on our platform and kind of more at macro industry level, and essentially guiding creators to make decisions in their linking and suggesting them really what's working well on our platform and in the industry in general. So for starters, we really see a higher order value on our platform for beauty items this year. So beauty items sold on the LTK platform has increased by $24 when you look at this year compared to last year. It's exciting for beauty brands because we've also seen a pretty big growth in posting on our platform to beauty products and beauty-centric products. So creators are posting 60% more to beauty and personal care products. So all of these stats are a positive sign, and they essentially just reinforce the consumer data we saw in the previous slides. Additionally, we see beauty performing best when it's organically woven in the creator's content. So creators with really the highest results are when they link to and post products spanning category. Consumers are bought into the authenticity of that. You might be buying, a shirt from that creator, but you're also bought into their 10-minute makeup routine in the morning to get ready for the day. So it makes the messaging and the content really authentic. So on to kind of our checklist, if you will, really how creators can help your brand stay ahead of trends in this space. So number one, using the data that you have access to predict consumer beauty trends. This is so important. The industry is changing so fast. One day, a beauty trend might be in, the next day it might not be as in and something else might be. So really using creator to lean into that, staying ahead of favorite channels. Of course, the hot topic and the discussion right now is TikTok. What's the strategy there? How do we organically weave that into our overall content strategy? Staying educational while also inspirational. So of course, there's that balance of making sure consumers are well educated. Your brand has unique benefits and we want to educate consumers, but we of course want to also inspire. And that ties into remaining authentic. None of this works if the content isn't authentic. So we'll review some data behind these and just get a glimpse more into the LTK platform. What's performing well, what are consumers searching for, and we'll wrap with some actionable next steps on actual beauty campaigns. So first, creators can really help you predict what consumers are shopping for. So we've seen a trend and really a theme on our platform of creators helping brands predict that next big trend. So since LTK ingests that data lifetime, we can immediately see any spikes in linked products, which keeps us in tune with what creators are talking about their audiences to. So again, LTK has millions of shoppers, millions and millions of shoppers within our app. We have tons of creators who are really utilizing our technology and services. So we know this is a great sample size. So of course, creators essentially act as a sales rep for your brand. They're giving demos, they're giving product reviews, they're giving recommendations, but ultimately their goal is to also sell. So the data on this page looks at a small sample of really high growth products that sold in September. So from the August to September timeframe. So we see growth here, that Tarte tubing mascara. You guys, everyone wanted it. It grew at a crazy percent. 59,000, and we sold that off the shelves, which is super exciting. And we also saw Olaplex Bond, the maintenance set, grow. So again, hair care. So now we have makeup, we have hair care, we also have skincare. So we have a couple skincare products listed there that really performed and had high growth from that August to September timeframe. So again, this is one really small way of how you can slice and dice growth, but at the end of the day, you're trying to move product, and creators can help you do that. So as you can see, it's just these SKUs touch everything from makeup to skincare to hair care. Creators are talking about their full routines, and shoppers are really bought into splurging on that routine, especially for a creator that they know and they trust and they feel like is already their friend. So while sales are important, and of course, the major goal when you're running marketing campaigns, creators truly deliver on full funnel results. So the data on this page is a sample of top clicked products for the year. So creators can be an incredible traffic driver to your site. They really put your brand in consumers' consideration set. So while we saw sales on the last page, before we can even get to sales and even talk about sales, there needs to be a discussion about having creators link to your brand. There's a million choices of where creators can link, especially if your brand's offered through retailers. There's direct to site, there's retailer 1, there's retailer 2, there's retailer 3. There's many different ways and many different directions of where creators can link. And on the LTK platform, the benefit is they choose where to link for that organic linking. So not every link is paid, which is great. And creators look at so many different criteria when choosing where to link. So from commission rate to cookie windows to, are you working with them in some capacity on campaigns, or maybe you're working with other creators and they want to get on your radar, and so they want to start linking to you so they can work with you too on campaigns. How comfortable are consumers already shopping to your site? Is your brand already converting for them? So lots of different paths and reasons creators would choose to link to your brand. But I think having a conversation with your LTK rep just about, how can I get the linking of my brand up? What could that look like? So here on this page, we see a sample of products with top click growth for 2022. So these are just, again, a small sample of brands that creators chose to link to and consumers felt comfortable clicking on. So again, I won't read through the list here, but you see everything from skincare to, lip balm to a hair dryer to tanning. So it really touches the whole gamut. It's important to be competitive in this space is what I always, I've had conversations with so many brands, but it's really important to be competitive in the creator space because creators pick up on that next trend, which often feels like on a whim. At least that's what I felt like with that blow dryer brush that I bought. And I think, half of my coworkers also bought. It felt like on a whim. You all of a sudden started seeing it everywhere. And then you buy it and you're like, wow, this really is good. I can see why everyone was linking to it. So they're not comfortable. If they're not comfortable with your brand, they're not going to necessarily link to it. So it's just making sure you're having that conversation of how to increase that linking. So ultimately you can increase those sales on that first page. So moving on to the next point. So number 2, what can creators do to help you stay ahead of trends? So the second is helping you stay ahead of their favorite channels. So the data on this page is we're looking at some shopping originated from social media. So when we asked consumers through our national study, do you shop on social media? We saw the norm being, yes, I shop on social media. And obviously, millennial and Gen Z shop more on social media than the general population. But for the most part, everyone is shopping on social media, and they're saying that they shop on social media. What you're going to see there in the black is just a little diving in a little bit to Gen Z. So beauty and Gen Z go hand in hand. And I think the platforms and the channels, that strategy is more important than ever. So Gen Z reports to regularly buying products from creators on social media 40% more than the general population. So again, the data in the middle is just buying from social media. The data you see here on this side for Gen Z is shopping creators from social media. So 40% more than the general population. That's not a testimony where the industry is shifting. I'm not sure what is. But the channels that they're shopping from influencer on are Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And again, this is where they're shopping specifically. We actually see TikTok outperforming in some areas, but not necessarily social commerce at the moment. So again, we can't talk channels without talking video, and specifically short form video. I know a lot of you on the phone today are talking about this. You're talking about this with us. We've had conversations with you. If you're not, we should be, and you should be talking about how video content should be incorporated in your strategy internally, at least. So what you're seeing here on this page, we're looking at some on-platform LTK data. And this chart looks at video content obligations from the thousands and thousands and thousands of campaigns that LTK has run with our brand partners over time. So you can see kind of that Q1 2021 through Q2 2022 there. And really what we see, our brands are leaning into short form video, and really they're leaning into it for engagement rates. So when we look at kind of all the engagement rates across our platform, we really see video content performing 50% higher in engagement rate than static content. And if you think back to the platforms on the previous page, so Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, their commonality really is video. Consumers want video. We know that they're shopping on social. We know they're shopping through creator. We know what channels they're on, and video is a huge piece of that. So on this page, again, just looking at the content, pausing and all the data we're throwing at you just to see some beautiful imagery. The video you see on this page is really just one example of beauty content in action, and that video content in action, but there's hundreds of thousands of pieces of content where that came from, if not more. So when LTK looked at a sample of high performing posts based on engagement rate, video was also that commonality. So Instagram stories and reels, and those engagement rates are phenomenal. So what you see here on this page is just, for a snapshot of 4 images, both taken from Instagram stories and Instagram reels, and their engagement rates beneath. So gosh, an 84% engagement rate. That's insane, right? Of course, these are top performing ones and not always going to be that exact standard. But we really pull this to give everyone an idea that if you're focused on upper funnel metrics, video is really where you need to be. I mean, who doesn't want that 84% engagement rate to bring up your overall engagement rate for that campaign? So just a few anecdotes there, and video strategy is going to be more important now than ever, especially as we go into 2023. So the third point here, so creators provide education and inspiration. So online consumers want to learn, they want to be entertained, and they want to shop. You've seen data throughout the presentation. They want to shop online. Influencers provide that education and inspiration through their content about your products, how to use them. Really, when influencers inform their audiences, they build your brand value and they inspire people to purchase. So they're not just creating that consideration, they're inspiring them to actually click, I want that, and bought in, I want to purchase it now. Again, back to that discussion of the opt-in marketing campaign, creators are already organically talking about your brand. And so this is just super authentic for consumer. And they're the most influential on social media. So again, creators are more influential based on our consumer study than ads and celebrity posts. And tying this back to macro trends, we know, again, consumers are already shopping on social through creator. They want more video, and beauty really fits authentically into this space. And last but not least, creators provide unmatched authenticity. So over my years at LTK, I can't say the number or it will age me. I've had so many conversations with beauty brands just about that casting strategy. Should I work with the big beauty YouTuber? Should I work with the lifestyle creator? What's the right mix? Overall, we've seen that beauty creators are really shifting away to a linear approach. Consumers, Gen Z specifically, now more than ever, want to see what's real and what's authentic. And that's really what's converting online. And there's a place for those super stylized shoots. But you're also seeing kind of a day in the life or a typical beauty demo or beauty routine. We're seeing that land really, really well recently. Additionally, the reality is most consumers have a variety of brands and a variety of price points within kind of on their beauty counter. And creators are leaning into this. There's a place for both retailers to find a seat in the space and luxury purchases to find a seat in the space. And honestly, working with that same creator, we've seen a shift to that as well. So on this page, you're going to see a really small sample of beauty searches within the LTK app. And I think, again, the LTK app is a great gut check on the space. Since we have millions and millions of shoppers, you can essentially get a gauge of what consumers are looking for. So within our app, we have a search bar, and consumers can search makeup, or they can search Jaclyn Hill, or they can search whatever they want to search, and then content all populates for suggestions for that consumer to shop through. And again, it's creator first content. So it's not necessarily a product image. It's a beautiful image or tutorial like you've seen throughout this presentation. And you can see here in the sample of searches that consumers are searching for beauty products in just a variety of ways through both beauty creators, beauty brands, and certain categories. And so, of course, you want your brand to appear when consumers go and search for it, or if a certain category is trending during high seasonal times or during highly promotional times, it's important for your brand to surface within the app. So as we wrap, the very last thing we have before we go over just a recap of everything that we discussed today are really what are some best practices to working with creators in this space. So again, there's so many different strategies. You might, be a single brand with only a direct to consumer. You might be a multi-brand with lots of different avenues to buy product. But really, this list is consistent across brand of all shapes and sizes. So what we see, don't focus on follower count. Again, we see creators growing in this space and really leaning in. We see a strategy of both kind of working with those macro creator as well as those more micro creator and up and comer creators. There's a space for that for everyone. So not necessarily focusing on follower count. Some of those mid-tier micro creators have such a highly engaged and highly curated following. Of course, if engagement rates are goal, focusing on that, but there's different tactics we can take to make sure we're casting to those needs. Work with influencers who speak to Gen Z. So we saw Gen Z is shop in beauty. All the data, I won't recap everything I just said, but all the data points to Gen Z in this space. So really having some strategy woven throughout your whole marketing plan of speaking to Gen Z is super important. Leveraging current brand data and industry trends. So again, LTK is so data heavy and so data backed. And I think that's what's so brilliant for your brand to partner with us, is because we can keep a pulse on the industry, let you know who's performing best, who's growing within the beauty and personal care category. So really understanding not just your own historics and your own data, but also what's going on in the full industry will help set the stage of working with beauty creators and who to work with. And then, of course, work with creators with all different diverse backgrounds. This is so important in all of the categories, but especially beauty. You want to make sure that you're touching on creators who hit all different audiences and all different audience and life stages. And this is important within your casting strategy as well. Video, we talked all about video today, so making sure we have at least a strategy to test video. But in 2023, I predict video is going to be a huge part of a lot of our partners' marketing plans with us. So continuing to test into that, so that way next year we can make sure that's a larger part of all of our beauty campaigns with you. Add content licensing to your paid creator campaigns. And again, this is thinking of creator as really an extension of your brand and using that content, getting the full benefit through things like media boosting, using it on your own owned and operated channels is really important to get that whole, if you will, bang for your buck of working with creator. And then branch out to other channels and formats. I think now it's more important than ever to test new tactics, test new mediums, test new channels, question how can we be more efficient and effective, and especially with inflation in the economy right now. So just having those conversations is really important. So a lot to think about when casting. I just fired off a lot at you, but I always think of casting as a Rubik's Cube. And LTK has a world-class team dedicated to creator casting. We have some of the best and brightest in the industry. And when I see these 7 points summarized in my head, what I think is data-backed, innovation, testing, and representation. So if you're having discussions and you're hitting on those frequently, you're doing it right. So as we wrap, I just want to thank everyone so much for your time today. I know the beauty industry is having a moment in creator, but I think it's about to get a lot bigger. So just to recap what we talked about today, beauty is the #1 shopped category by creator. Beauty is the #1 splurge category. Creator drives beauty purchases in store as well as online. Creators help brands and retailers predict beauty trends. Creators can also help brands and retailers stay ahead of rising social channels. Short form video is on the rise, and LTK is seeing double-digit engagement rates on that video content. And creators provide unmatched authenticity, providing education and inspiring shoppers. So that is all we have for you today. And this deck will be in your inbox. But of course, reach out to us. We would love to talk about holiday plans. We'd love to talk 2023 planning. Again, all signs are pointing to a positive outlook for beauty, specifically on the LTK platform, but with creator and within the macro industry in general as well. So thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.